What's going on, YouTube? We're back at it for another video, and today we've got the Act 1 Modern Warfare Zombies guide, getting through those story missions and unlocking through these little chapters, or side missions, you will, before getting to those story missions, unlocking a few schematics along the way, especially number one to grind for at Act 3 is going to be the Wonder Waffle schematic. That way you can craft that every 48 hours. A little bit ridiculous on the time frame there, but there's more than a few of some of these contracts that are going to be extremely frustrating. And if you don't know exactly where to go in order to get some of them done or how to get them done efficiently, you could effectively waste quite a bit of time. And trust me, with over 40 hours played in this, yes, I have wasted more than a few hours on top of this, but for the most part, you can get this done in less than 35 hours. I know I've seen a lot of websites out there saying that it's going to take you 35 hours in order to get through all three of these acts, but that's more along the lines if you don't know what you're doing and if you're just inefficiently getting it done and don't know some of the key locations on how to get some of these done in the quickest way possible. But we'll be giving you those tips and tricks through these videos. I will have a guide on each act. This will be the first one. So if you'd like to see more of this content, hit that subscribe button, and we'll have more coming in the future as these contents get expanded upon through seasons. But that being said, if you're looking for a specific contract, I will have each one of these by name listed down in the description below with timestamps. So by all means, skip on ahead to get to where you need to, and hopefully it helps you out. That being said, let's jump straight into it. Now, the Tier 1 missions are actually going to be pretty straightforward. The first one, direct line, we're going to have to pick up or ping one of the contracts on the TAC map, complete it, and then we will have to exfil. Now, the rest of these contracts we actually can do in succession during the middle of one match. For whatever reason, this is only something you can do in Act 1, or at least that's how it went for me. Act 2 and 3, you'll have to do them one at a time, and no matter whether or not the end of that contract says you need to exfil, you will have to exfil and then come back out and select the next contract in order to progress forward and continue on with them. And one thing to keep in mind is that none of these are retroactive, so as soon as you have one selected, whatever your contract is, you need to finish that one before you can actually start working on the next ones. But Treasure Hunter, this one could take you a little bit of time. It's more tedious one. You'll just be opening up those loot caches at ether nests or inside of any one of those buildings. A lot of times you'll just be opening pretty much everything open or everything up. I think this effectively means like lockers, pretty much anything that you can open up. So it can get done pretty quickly, but do keep in mind if you're trying to knock out some of the other ones, avoid trying to kill and run over those zombies and destroying the vehicles you're using too early before pushing on to the next ones. But going on to the next one, Road Rage all the way down. Arguably, Treasure Hunter may take you a little bit of time, but if you can get that one done and then you can progress forward, you might be able to knock these all out in one hour session. Now, Road Rage, this one is pretty easy, just get in a vehicle, start running over some zombies. If it gets close to dying, head to a gas station in order to fuel up and repair that vehicle. But the second thing to this, the repair one vehicle tire, you don't actually need to go to a gas station for this one. I know I've met with a lot of randoms that didn't recognize this, thinking that they had to go to a gas station to get this completed after they've already run over those zombies. But all you really need to do is get out of the vehicle, make sure that everyone on your team's out of the vehicle so you can't actually damage the vehicle, and then just pop one of those tires, then look at it, hit the square, hit the X, or whatever your interact button is on your keyboard, and then you'll turn into the fastest pit crew I've ever seen from NASCAR, because you're changing that tire like it's nothing. You're ready to roll straight after that. Now, that could be pretty beneficial for you later on as well, knowing that you can just pop out anytime you face off, or just driving by some of those veteran bots that just have aim bot to them. These mercenaries are absolutely frustrating at sometimes, but that could save you at other moments to just keep you from fishtailing all the time or just sliding everywhere. Now, coming up next, wall power. Just purchase it off the wall, kill 50 zombies. Now, one of the quickest ways, since basically today they made extraction zombie spawning a little bit less, you may want to just go for Tier 1 contracts with the Weapon Stash or Outlast. Both of these are just going to spawn in a ton of zombies that will just come flooding in, so you'll be able to rack up those 50 kills fairly quickly and be able to do it in the Tier 1 so you don't have to worry about needing that pack-a-punch before getting the kills pretty quickly. But right after that, firepower, the biggest thing, with wall power, go and get some of those contracts done. That way you can get that 5,000, or you can get the pack crystal that just automatically punches it up. But don't use that pack crystal, and make sure you don't pack a punch that wall weapon before you get this firepower. Like I said, none of this is retroactive, so you want to make sure you get those 50 kills in before you end up pack a punching that weapon, because if you do it beforehand, it won't count for you, and you'll have to get either another 5,000 or another one of those crystals in order to get it done in that match. So you want to make sure to try and min-max this as much as possible and make it the most efficient way. But right after that, taking up arms, this one will just be easy. You'll be able to just buy up one from the mystery box. But yet again, this is another one of those moments where don't buy it before you get to this contract. Make sure you finish firepower. And then, as soon as you get this contract rolling up, head over to the mystery box. It's only going to be $9.50, probably the cheapest option. And you can still have that irritating moment where it possibly drops out of precision airstrike, which is pretty dumb in my opinion. I'd much rather just have a weapon come out than a precision airstrike, but you know, it's cheaper than 5,000, I suppose. Now moving on to tier 2 missions. We've got Interceptor, where we'll need to destroy a mercenary convoy and then collect the mercenary or the stronghold key card out of this one. We'll actually get a nice little weapon blueprint for this one, the Bone Rattle. It's a nice little LMG that you can effectively have 100 rounds in, that can double up to 200 once you actually get the pack-a-punched version of it. And with that weapon, it's fairly accurate, decent damage, and it's not hard to control. I'd arguably say it's one of the better ones for Modern Warfare Zombies. If you still don't have any of the weapons really unlocked, this one is going to be one that I'd say put in the insured slot and put the attachments you want on it. It's going to be tried and true for you. I've probably killed the most with this one, and I'm pretty much leaning on it for the rest of the time. It's just one of those well-rounded that's going to get the job done every time. But when it comes to destroying mercenary convoys, this is a bit of a random event, but we'll be popping up the map right now to showcase where these locations you'll be able to find them in pretty quickly. Now, if you don't know what this website is, it's Warzone TAC Map. I have this link down in the description below. It's got some neat little locations like dog houses and the location of certain, audio logs, hidden caches, free perks, portal entrances and exits. That'll be a part of a different video I'll make later on when it comes to the rune portals, where it can portal you around the map, showcasing some of those. But on the map, there's going to be about 4 locations where I've seen the majority of these convoys spawn in, but the number 1 location is going to be Zaravan suburbs. If you just drive down here in squares, generally there'll be a gas station over here, and in this one rectangular spot is generally where I've found it. It can move in this area as well, so wouldn't hurt to go all the way around, but generally I'd start with this spot. But depending on where you spawn, you can also find it on this main highway over here coming down from Badika Farms right there. Sometimes it's on that main highway, but moving on the way up above Pop-Off Power, you'll actually have this location up top here that I've seen more than a few times, and it can be the single Night Rider like special spawn or whatever his name was. I can't remember. It's a part of another secret for a different video. But moving on from that, there's also the 4th location that I've normally seen it, which is going to be over here next to the Seaport District. Generally, it'll be this little section right here, as there'll be the Legacy Stronghold, which is like the raid mercenary stronghold up here. And this gas station right here will actually be a mercenary camp generally. But I have seen the convoy move through this little section before as well. But the number 1 is going to be right here in the Zaravan suburbs, right here in tier 2. You don't necessarily need a pack-a-punch weapon for this, but, it could be beneficial for you in order to save your life just in case you get swarmed by zombies, as if all you have is a gray weapon, it's not going to do much to the zombies, but it will be enough to take out the mercenaries. And one thing to keep in mind when it comes to destroying the mercenary convoy, you need to make sure that you destroy all 3 vehicles. If you can still see the vehicle on screen, you haven't completely destroyed it yet. You need to make sure that it completely destroys and disappears from the screen entirely. And there'll be crates on the ground that'll be left, and possibly some tires and doors that have just fallen off as well. And 1 enemy inside of that convoy will drop that stronghold key card. Sadly enough, this can bug. If you've noticed, there might be some mercenaries that are randomly sitting, like they're in a car, but they're not, there's no car there and they're just floating on the road, that can be a problem in which one of those guys can be holding a key card, and even if you do kill them and grab the key card, you may end up having to exfil and then come back in to do it again. Luckily, the destroyed mercenary convoy can still be there, and this is one of those moments where you may see times where somebody has basically left the convoy, killed it, and just grabbed the key card. Sometimes it's just one or the other that they need, and arguably, at certain times, if all you did was grab the key card and they just left the vehicles there, I mean, it could be beneficial for you, but that one can be frustrating and it can be bugged. Sadly enough, that may happen to you, but hopefully you won't have that moment. Now, moving on to Tier 3 missions, we've got Freezer Burn, which may give you a little bit of trouble in the beginning, especially if you don't fully understand what's going on. You know, for me, the first time through, I thought this meant that I needed to kill them. You know, I wasn't really reading it, but all you need to do is create the slow effect from the cryo mod on the zombies and the hellhounds. And specifically, the hellhounds are going to be the problem for you. As you may have already noticed, they are the weakest enemy that we'll be facing inside of this game. So you may notice that you're killing them faster than you can even apply the slow effect with your cryo mod. So the best way to get this one done is you're going to want to do, you basically want to come in with an SMG specifically, something that's not too much damage, but still enough to be able to clear some of these contracts that you'll be doing to get this done as quickly as possible. But you want to make sure that it's gray so it's not too powerful, and then just slap that mod on there and then start doing either Outlast or the weapons stash contracts. Both of those are going to spawn in the zombies and the hellhounds. Extremely easy for you. You can get it done in Tier 1 as well. And if you've run out of them and there's only some in Tier 2, you know, if you got some buddies with you, some nice backup so they can get their weapons pack-a-punch to clear out those zombies. That way you can still get those hits on those hellhounds. Now, if you're having a moment where possibly you've come in, you've already pack-a-punched your weapon, you know, you're trying to move in with your buddies, you're still trying to make it into the Tier 3 zone, there are some locations that you can go to that are going to have guaranteed dogs. One of them, if you're really looking for a farming location, is going to be right here on the edge of the Tier 2 in the Zaravan City. There's always going to be one hellhound right here, and you can actually just run down the road and then come back after you kill that one and slow it, and it'll keep spawning. So you could do that 10 times right there. It takes a little bit longer, but the most efficient way to get this done is going to be the weapon stash and the Outlast contracts. Best way to get them done, and you'll knock it out pretty quickly, more than likely. As long as your buddies aren't killing those hellhounds before you can get the shots on them, and as long as you're not landing headshots every single time with the hellhounds, that way you're still able to get that slow on them. Took me a while to figure this one out, was irritating, but for the most part, it can be pretty easy. Now, next up is actually going to be pretty tedious, not my favorite, MINELAYER. Now, killing 25 zombies with our field upgrade of energy mine is the first thing that we get. That one's going to be pretty easy, but killing 15 mercenaries is going to be the tedious part, as we will have to kill zombies to constantly have this recharged. Anytime that we use our field upgrade, we're going to have to kill zombies, and there's only one drop from zombies where it's like 2 machetes that actually fully powers up that field upgrade again. The best way that I can possibly say to get this done is to find either a stronghold or a mercenary camp that is close by to an extraction, or close by to a location where there's a bunch of zombies. Generally, the extraction, I don't know, after, you know, this patch that they had today where they've diminished the amount of zombies that come at extraction, whether or not it's still going to be a way to farm, upgrade energy for the field upgrade, I suppose. But your best bet is to try and group up some of these guys at a mercenary camp or at one of those strongholds. And sadly enough, you may only be hitting like 2 or 3 at a time, since generally the mercenaries do not group up all that well. So this one may just be a really tedious, time-consuming one. I hate to say it. This isn't the last time that we have to do this with the mercenaries either. I really wish they just never put the mercenaries in as something you needed to kill, because they're just the most frustrating thing to deal with in the most part, for the most part, because they're just all scattered aimbots and can be extremely deadly if you're just basically even running. It's a nightmare. So this one may give you the most trouble, but if you find your way to some of those locations where you're just close by an extraction, you find a mercenary camp, you know, take 2 or 3 of them at a time, run away, or if you're at a stronghold, kill 2 or 3 of them, wait to start drilling into the safe, and then in those moments when you drill into the safe, generally you'll have 4 of them. You could save it for moments with the ground, where it's like the seismic activity mission or the ether extractor. Those 2 could be useful to you, but at the same time, they both basically have a timer on them, so you're only going to get so many, and with the fact that you have to kill zombies to recharge it, you generally only have 1 use for it. Gets to be problematic. Now, one thing I didn't get to try is using this with multiple people, where all 3 of your players has that energy mine. Sometimes there are certain contracts where if, say, your teammates get kills with something like the energy mine, or they get kills during a contract that you need to get kills for your contract, it can count towards you. That may be something to test out. I don't know. I've got no way to test it out, sadly enough. Leave a comment down below if you were able to get this done and if it was actually able to work. But it's one way that I can think that might possibly make this a bit quicker if you're working with other people. Just talk with some of those randoms. You may be able to get them to work with you at the same time. I definitely had more than a few randoms, great interactions, and just team players. And as long as you're able to help them with their contracts, more than likely they'll help you with yours. But going forward from that, we've got pit stop. Straightforward, very easy. Just get a vehicle and drive around. You could arguably, come in solo or just work this with some people to just refuel those. No problem at all. Just keep driving to another gas station and fully fuel it up. Now, up next, we've got the Saboteur. This is going to be the ether extraction contract. Now, this one is one of those where I know for a fact, if you do the ether extractor and you have 2 people with you, as long as they're killing at the same time that you're killing, those 15 mercenaries are all going to count. It doesn't matter whether or not you killed 15, as long as 15 in total were killed during that contract, you will get that to count towards you. But the number one thing is to shoot down that reinforcement helicopter. You want to make sure you just get that one down as quick as possible. Not only is it going to help you in just capping some of those little missiles that they have, but you just want to make sure you don't forget about that, because if you do, you're going to have to run back through it again. But you won't have to complete it the second time around. You'll just have to shoot it down. But it can be a bit irritating to complete that contract and then, forgot about the helicopter, because that's what I did. But going up next, we've got automated backup. Now, this one was a bit irritating to me, and there is something to point out about this. Now, this says activate 3 deadbolt turrets with the ammo mod circuit boards. There is a circuit board that doesn't have an ammo mod. Effectively, what you're going to be looking for is the ammo mod versions of these circuits. So the napalm, the brain rot, the cryo. I feel like there's another one. The live wire. Or I think it was dead wire. Goodness, live wire. That's a Mountain Dew right there. But the best way to find these is going to be chests of any kind. So if you go to ether nests, you go to infested strongholds, you generally won't find these from completing contracts unless they involve having some type of chest. Strongholds may have these as well. And let's go look at the map real quick. I'll show you one location that I know for a fact that's going to have more than a few of these chests that you can just immediately start grabbing up. And it's going to be over here at Zaravan City. You may have seen this location before right here. There's a bunch of cranes around this really tall building down in the city over here, and at the very top there is a ton of chests. There's even a couple at the base of it. I've come over here and I've found 2 circuit ammo mods before, and this is going to be one of the better locations to find that if you just run through ether nests or infected strongholds and you haven't found too many, or possibly just 1 or 2. You may find it in some chests anywhere out and around, but this was one of the better locations where there's stacked with a bunch of chests in it where you could easily just come and grab some pretty quickly. So if you spawn down here at the southern portion, that'd be a spot you'd want to hit immediately, and then look for one of those deadbolt turrets and activate it that way. But you have to make sure it's the one with the ammo mod. So read it every time you see it. If you get the one that's just the circuit board, that one's not going to cut it. You're going to need to have 3 that have that ammo mod variation of it, because I didn't know that, and trust me, I put in like 5 or 6 and I was completely confused. Moving on to tier 4 missions, we've got the Infiltrator. This one's going to be pretty easy. Just obtain a stronghold key card. You can get this from a mercenary camp, you can get it from the convoy, or you can pay 2,000 of that essence over at a buy station in any one of the tiers in order to grab up that stronghold. Then just look for one of those strongholds, complete it, and at the end of it, you'll be able to grab up one of the records from the safe that you'll be drilling inside of that stronghold, and you'll just need to exfil with that one. You'll get a raw Ethereum crystal from that one. That's going to give you the capability of having that tier 1 as soon as you walk in, or pack a punch tier 1. Coming up next, though, tier 5 missions, hands off. Now this one's going to be pretty irritating for a lot of people. I didn't even know about the dupe glitch when I did this one, but when you'll see some gameplay footage coming up here in a second where I'll put it over while I'm talking about this. But killing zombies with sentry guns, you know, it was actually a little bit difficult. I couldn't get the sentry guns to fully activate every time. They didn't always want to start shooting or getting on the target. It was absolutely irritating to try and get these things to work, but you can buy these up from the tier 2 buy stations, so keep that in mind. You know, if you're thinking this is just a random drop, no, you can actually go into tier 2 zone, stack up some money, and be able to buy up like 3 of these. And the number one way to get the mercenary kills is going to be the seismic activity contract. Probably the best way. That way you can set up these sentry turrets around the main computer that you're defending, and you can kind of let them do their thing. Letting them do their thing doesn't always work. You'll see it in the gameplay footage that I'll be playing over this. It's really frustrating. I had a fantastic time with this one, but after that's done, you will see a ciphered tablet that'll drop off either one of the enemies or just drop at a random location in the vicinity once you complete this actual contract or complete killing the 10 mercenaries or 20 zombies. Sometimes you may even find it beforehand, and if you're worried about possibly missing this, trust me, it drops a multitude of times until you actually pick it up to complete it. So don't even worry. That's thankfully one of the few things that won't bug on you. It'll more than likely just have a plethora of them laying on the ground. You may even have one of your teammates say, "Oh, what's this?" and then grab it, and it'll count towards you in the first place and just finish it off for you. But coming up after that, Blasted. This one actually was a little bit confusing to me at first, as Shatter mod is only going to proc on random moments as you're shooting. It's not a consistent mod where every bullet's going to cause the shatter. But the way to get this one done in the most efficient manner with destroying 25 armor off of armored zombies is you want to make sure you go into tier 2, as there's going to be plenty of those armored zombies, and you basically want to corral some of those zombies together. You want to make sure that you get a good group around you, make sure there's more than a few of those armored zombies, and then once you've got them all clustered together, turn around with a high magazine weapon, and you'll be able to get a lot of those armors destroyed off those zombies, because it will have a blast radius as soon as it does proc. So you want to cluster them together, that way you can get the bigger numbers of blasting those off every time that it procs, and it'll make it pretty quickly. And yet again, another one of those moments where Ciphered Tablet is going to be dropping multiple times if you haven't noticed, even before you finished killing or breaking the 25 armor off zombies. But it should be pretty quick for you. Generally, I would go over to, what was the best location for me? Let's go over to the map real quick. I've left the map up this entire time. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Don't worry about it. Thankfully, I'll have this time stamped with the different contracts on what I'm talking about. Now, Lowtown's probably the best spot that I went to. I went over here to this right section. You'll have the gas station over here in this little section that's always got the high value target. I went around this section right here, as there's always just a plethora of zombies just spawning up, and quite a few of them are going to be of the armored variety. So if you just go over here, kind of circle around in this zone, and then group them together, and then start using that shatter mod, makes it super easy for you. Now, coming up next, we've got Bring 'em On, which this one we're going to have to kill with the Frenzied Guard, which Frenzied Guard is a fantastic field upgrade for people that are playing solo. As soon as you pop it, it immediately gives you full plates, and each time that you kill, you're getting more plates acquired, but you will also aggro all of the zombies around you. Now, the best one that you're going to get this one done, now, Special Zombie or Elite Zombie, this won't count, sadly, for Hellhounds, even though they are considered a special zombie. The best way to get that one done is the actual zone Lowtown, where there's always going to be a plethora of different special zombies just all about, or elite enemies. Pop this field upgrade, you know, aggro all the zombies, and more than likely in that crowd there'll be one, you know, mangler or disciple or mimic. Generally more on the mangler and disciple side of things. Mimics, for whatever reason, are just the most random spawns and generally only happen in the city more than in Lowtown. But every once in a while you will see two of them pop up. But if you go over to Lowtown, you should be able to get this one done pretty quickly. And it's one of those moments where there's plenty of zombies that are constantly spawning. As long as you have a Pack-a-Punch 1 weapon, Pack-a-Punch 2 weapon is going to make this even faster. This is something I'd make a strong argument for. If you can get that up to Pack 2, or if you have a crystal that's already going to get you up to Pack 2, that'll make this even more easy. And this is another one where I'm not sure whether or not, you know, if your teammates kill zombies at the same time while you're in Frenzied Guard, if that's something that could actually boost that, but that could be something to try out as you're going through, just to see whether or not it actually racks up those kills even faster for you. And yet again, we'll have the Cypher tablet drop on this one, so just be looking for that one when it drops on the ground. It should put an icon showcasing where it is if it does drop for you. But moving over, Hostile Takeover, this one is actually just going to be all about doing the firearms stash weapon raid contract. You're just going to need to do 3 of these. Can easily do it in one run. Kill 50 enemies while drilling the safe. No problem at all. And I think you can actually... this one could be considered hitting 3 safes at strongholds as well, if that's something you wanted to do. I probably wouldn't really do it that way because it wouldn't be that efficient, but you know, if you're looking to possibly get a 3-plate vest for free or possibly a large backpack, you know, that route actually could be pretty beneficial for you, as generally in strongholds you have a higher chance of drop for those type of items. So if that's something you're looking for, you may want to do that along with this contract, just to give you that little bit extra on top of completing this contract. Up next though, we've got Chaperone. This one's going to just be an escort contract. All you got to do is just follow that tank or sit on top of it, kill 75 zombies. Yet again, another one of those moments where your teammates' kills counts towards your 75 overall kills. So don't even worry about it. And the better thing about this one, once you exfil, after you've got that purple portal, you'll get a quick revive recipe out of it. And you'll have the capability of creating that perk before going into your next match. Now, right after that, we've got Nest Record, which is just going to be Ether Nest. You know, this is one of them. You're just going to have to look on the map, check out where one of those locations is. Fairly easy and straightforward, and you'll have another Cypher tablet that'll be dropping in. Now, if you don't know how to clear an Ether Nest, essentially all you're going to have to do is look for the yellow cysts on the wall. Just keep combing those walls, keep popping those, and eventually you'll complete the activity. It will be dangerous on the inside, so generally you'd like to have a gas mask before going in. If you don't know where to find one, the easiest spot is going to be the buy stations. Any one of them, even in tier 1, is going to have them for 1,000 essence. But if you don't have any currency and you see a mercenary camp nearby, generally mercenaries, after killing more than a few of them, will drop some for free no matter what. But it's not a necessity to have that gas mask in order to roll in here. You can do it. It'll just eat away at your health and not your armor. But there's going to be more than a few zombies coming out of these ether nests, and sometimes you could almost use this as one of the XP farm moments, considering, I mean, they just keep blooding out of it. Or if you needed to get some field upgrade, this is definitely a spot where just don't complete the nest and just keep farming the zombies out of it. Similar to Extraction. But right after that, we've got Where's Dr. Jansen? This one is going to be an Outlast contract. This is going to be the symbol of like a radar dish on the map. Easily get this done in tier 1, and you'll get the Jansen's tablet either out of the portal or off the ground. I can't remember specifically, but it should be just after that mission's completed, no problem, and then just exfil. And you'll finally be at your first story mission, which is going to be Extraction. Now, what happens during this, I'll have the gameplay footage up in front of us. There's going to be a spot on the map that has the Running Man symbol from the exfil locations, but it'll have a golden star next to it instead of a black little door. That's going to be the location that we take in order to get to this little sectioned off story mission. It's going to be a section of the big map, but a smaller section of it, and there'll be a bit of a story that you'll be going into. Now, if you're playing with randoms, you can just take this Extraction, you know, by yourself, but, you know, be sure to let them know that this is going to be a story mission, because if they haven't made it, you know, they could be pretty upset. This is a spoiler. You can carry people into this mission and basically ruin it for them. You know, for some people it may be ruined. Other people it may be like, oh, cool, this is what I'm looking forward to. So just keep that in mind. Some people could be a little bit upset if you just dragged them over to this thinking that, oh yeah, they completed their contract and now they think they're exfilling, but they're exfilling into another mission, which will have another extended timer. Technically, you could spend another hour in this next zone, but by all means, you probably won't. One thing I will say before going into this extraction mission, you do kind of want to have, you know, possibly a 3-plate vest. You know, getting it done with 1 plate, you can get it done, but it'll make it a little bit harder. There's more than a few mercenaries. They're perched up on roofs. There's snipers. There's a whole lot of them. And on top of that, you've got more than a few zombies piling in. And I think it will be tier 1, but as we progress forward, you may want to, you know, think going forward that you need a tier 2 weapon. It's just going to make things easier for you, you know, if you've already got that pack-a-punch crystal, or spend the time before you go to that extraction, because you could take the entire hour basically stockpiling everything you need. I wouldn't say you need a plethora of things, but having a self-revive can't hurt if you're going in solo. You know, anything could happen, and if you're in that mission and you end up dying, you do lose everything. It's just something to keep in mind as you're going into these story missions, especially if you're doing it solo. I've done each one of them solo. You can get it done, but there's more than a few of them going forward, and this one included, that can be pretty deadly, considering they have a lot of those mercenaries that can just basically one-shot you. Extremely frustrating when it does happen, and I have died. Yeah, I have died in some of these story missions. This one specifically, I think I didn't die in any of the other ones, but this one, the first time I went in, it did not go well, and I brought some people with me, and we just were not prepared. But that's going to be it for the Act 1 guide. Hopefully this has helped you out, guys. You know, I'll just have some of that gameplay footage playing. If you'd like to see more of this content, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to see some of this content live, or if you have any questions, you know, just stop by the stream. I'll have a link down in the description. Follow me over at Twitch. I'm streaming daily. Anytime, you know, you may find me at 6 p.m. or a little bit later, going all the way up until the early morning. So by any means, stop by if you have any questions on any one of these contracts. I'm more than happy to answer some of them live on stream. And that's going to be it, guys. If you'd like to see more of this content, remember, hit that subscribe button. We've got more coming in the future, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.